My name is Caden Huffman, and we're doing a presentation today about electrolysis in modern vehicles. We're going to talk about all of the issues that we've run into, all of the data that we've collected, all of the things that we've seen on the internet, pretty much give you a rundown of everything that's got to go on with electrolysis in modern day vehicles.
The use of gasoline engines in cars is hurting the environment greatly. This is a very large percentage shown on the page since there is such a large amount of pollution in our world today. It needs to be fixed quickly or it could have a much worse effect on the environment now and in the future. The use of regular gasoline engines in cars also greatly affects climate change. It produces a lot of greenhouse gases, which over the past century and a half has pushed temperatures far above what they have been before, especially in the last 40 years. Another problem is that gasoline prices are soaring and that many people struggle to fill up their tanks. This has especially been a problem in the recent years due to rising inflation, which originated from the COVID-19 pandemic and has not failed to continue increasing. There are various health effects caused by the emissions of gasoline engines. These emissions can cause neurological, cardiovascular, and respiratory problems, as well as many other health problems. I'm sure you would not like to have these problems in the future. I'd also like to talk about the lack of fossil fuels today. We have used fossil fuels for so long that they are starting to become noticeably less available throughout the world. We need to stop stripping the world of resources that are not renewable, or we will run out, and that will be bad for everyone. Our solution is to use a hydrogen generator installed into the cars. It lowers emissions, making it reduce your carbon footprint, and it's also cheaper because you won't have to use as much gasoline. Does this work? You put water into the generator and mix it with electricity, then it splits the hydrogen and oxygen apart, making it very flammable, and this will power the engine. The process of electrolysis is caused when you mix water with an electrolyte and run it with an electrical current, and then this is the process that will split up hydrogen and oxygen. So once these two gases are separated, they'll be directed into the intake of the engine. They burn very hot, which will reduce the use of gasoline in these engines, and it will help power the car. Hydrogen is burned, it releases water vapor and carbon dioxide. So technically, this water would go back into the water cycle, and you actually wouldn't be wasting any renewable resources, which would kind of help us with the fossil fuel problem. Benefits of using this technology are that there's electricity generated by all cars, so this isn't something we'd have to add in, as well as it will increase your miles per gallon, so there'll be less gasoline required, and it'll also increase the driving range of your vehicle, meaning that you could go a farther distance before refueling. This is our why. Car emissions are rising at a very rapid rate, and we would like to reduce our carbon footprint, as well as the average passenger vehicle emits tons of CO2 every year, and one burning gallon of gasoline produces 20 pounds of carbon dioxide. So thinking towards the future, we would like more sustainable fuel sources, and we think that this would be a very good sustainable fuel source. And consumers are really sick of these high gas prices and the high prices of electric cars, and we want to give them another option. The way we want to progress this process is we want to promote more research into this, as well as hopefully helping out to open up new facilities to further this knowledge, and we need to figure out a few more pros and cons. So a potential byproduct are the anode and cathode rods. Um, These are used in small quantities, and compared to gasoline, this produces essentially no byproduct. So obviously, there's a few barriers, like there is to everything. We don't know exactly how this is going to affect engine heat currently, and it's going to be very hard to convince people to buy this with the amount of research that has been done so far. There's not been a ton of research, as well as the weight of water is extremely high compared to gasoline. So one question that we're trying to figure out is modified fuel injection needed when fuel is already a gas? Will professionals need to be needed? Yes and no, depending on your experience with cars. And the anode rods will need replaced semi-frequently every few years. We believe that there should be a universal kit to make it available to everyone, and we believe that it is worth selling as a physical item as well as instructions for professionals to put it in as a physical item and instructions for people that may be experienced on their own with cars. Do expect to deal with a lot of backlash, being that um, the government funds a lot of um, oil and gasoline companies, and they continue to subsidize the fossil fuel industry, holding clean energy back, which would be very hard to fight against the government. Our biggest goal is to push this towards the middle class because it's hard for them to afford electric cars, um, but they may have a little leftover money to be able to do this and still reduce their footprint. And this will help save our environment. As a consumer, you're going to want to ask yourself these questions. Is the added cost worth the benefit? Will this new system be reliable? And how much more efficient is it than a standard vehicle? And hopefully, our data on our website will help you answer all of these questions. HO is the fuel of the future. It's got many remarkable benefits, such as um, reduction in fuel costs, um, reduction in emissions, different things like that. But there's still a lot of hoops we have to jump through and problems we need to figure out. But in the end result, we think that this will be a great idea to look more into.